Hey, thanks for joining. Today we're going to make a land, air, and sea dinner with Traeger roasted vegetables. I found these bourbon chicken drumstick lollipops at Whole Foods. I'm using the Oysters Rockefeller, which we buy a lot of. They come from Fresh Market and they're really good. These vegetables, we'll season them up and put them on the Traeger, and then we'll also have some baked potatoes with these steaks. I have a Tomahawk steak from Whole Foods and some petite filets as well. This is something I do with steaks when I'm grilling. I'll go ahead and wrap them in paper towel, the morning of the cook, or sometimes even a day or two before, and you'll be surprised how much moisture these paper towels will kind of wick off of the meat. It'll take a lot of the moisture and things which basically detract from your beef flavor, so it's a good little trick, and I wanted to pass it along. And in just 5 hours or so, you can tell these paper towels did a lot of absorption. So definitely something to consider when you're cooking steaks. So now it's time to season them with your salt and ground pepper. And that's a 2.5 pound steak, so it's a very thick cut, and you're going to get seasoning all around it, top, bottom, sides, everywhere. And be sure while you're doing it that you rub it and you pat it in to make sure that it's making good contact with the steak. And when you're done, you'll have some leftover seasoning and things on your plate. A good trick of that, once you're done seasoning it and want to just pick up some of the remaining lost seasoning, you can just kind of use the steak to do that by just kind of moving it around the plate and picking up some of that lost seasoning. So we're done seasoning now. We just want to let the steak sit for about an hour. Let the seasoning work its way into the meat. We also wrap the fillets in paper towels, and after about 5 hours in the fridge, you can see how much was absorbed with those paper towels. So I think it's a good trick. In the end, the steaks are seasoned the same way as the Tomahawk, salt and pepper, and because it's not as thick a steak, it'll only stay at the room temperature for about 30 minutes. And now we've got the charcoal started in the big green egg, and the drumsticks and the vegetables will go on the Traeger, so we'll get that started as well. The potatoes are already in the oven. They took a couple hours. They were pretty large. So the next thing after the potatoes is these bourbon chicken drumstick lollipops. They take about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll move over to the Traeger roasted vegetables. And this seasoning works really well for what we're doing here today. And we've got the big green egg, good and hot now, ready for the steaks. Before we put those on, I'm going to go ahead and put these vegetables on the Traeger smoker so they can get roasting. They'll come off about the same time as the drumstick lollipops. Okay, now it's time for the star of the show. Got the Tomahawk steak. We're going to go ahead and get this on the preheated big green egg. Like I said, this is a really thick steak, so it's going to cook about 20 minutes in total, 10 minutes per side, and on each of those 10 minutes per side, we'll do a diagonal turn every 5 minutes. And then we'll finish it in the oven to get the middle. So after the first flip, here's what our steak looks like. Okay, this will be the last step on the grill for the Tomahawk steak before we take it inside. So the steak has about 5 minutes left on the grill, and here's what it looks like now. It's going pretty well. So it's been 20 minutes, so we'll go ahead and pull the steak off, and after this we'll put the Tomahawk in the oven, like I said, to finish up the middle. Off the grill, steak looks really good. We'll get it inside, get it in the oven, and finish it up. So now that this has been grilled, we'll go ahead and put it in the oven with the Oysters Rockefeller just to help the middle catch up a little bit before we take it out, let it rest, and then we'll be slicing it and serving it board style. Got our Oysters Rockefeller in there, got our steak in there as well, and it sits in there for about 5 or 10 minutes before we pull it out to let it rest. And after that, we'll move on to the fillets. These fillets are obviously a lot less thick of a cut, so they'll get 5 minutes per side, and we'll do a diagonal turn every couple of minutes. We're still on the first side here, and it's been a couple minutes, so we'll give these a turn for our diagonal marks. Okay, we went ahead and pulled the tomahawk steak out of the oven. It's had enough time there for the middle to catch up, and we'll go ahead and let this rest before we put it on the board and start slicing it. So the first side's been turned, and we're ready to do our flip now. So far, the fillets look pretty good. Okay, the fillets have had a diagonal turn on the second side now. So these steaks have been going about 10 minutes. And at this point, looks like the fillets are done, and we can take them in the house and give them a few minutes to rest. When I have cuts like this, I like to serve them board style, which means you just oil and season a board, put the meat back on it. Those juices will meld up with the seasoning and the oil when you slice it, and just adds a lot of flavor to it when you go to serve it family style. It's a great way to serve steaks like this. Time to grab the drumstick lollipops and the roasted vegetables off the Traeger. And we're going to grab our bourbon drumstick lollipops too. At this point, all the food is cooked, and we're ready to go ahead and slice up the steaks. First, I want to go ahead and cut this tomahawk bone out of here. And now I can start slicing up the steak. Okay, well, let's get the rest of this tomahawk cut up. You basically just want to cut all the meat into strips and get it kind of spread around the board. So we have the tomahawk ribeye steak all carved up, and we'll go ahead and start working on these fillets. Let's show you some individual pieces here. Here's how the fillets turned out, and here's how the ribeye tomahawk steak turned out. I thought it was great. We all loved it. And the tomahawk was a lot of fun to cook too. Just need to finish cutting up these fillets and we'll be done with the steaks. And now that the meat is sliced up, we'll go ahead and just give it a final sprinkle of seasoning. We'll top these with some Parmesan and lemon juice, and we're all set. Well, the hard work's done. Now time just to enjoy the meal.